in any of the projects that I've worked on before that have been based on like novels, the interesting thing about this is that when reading the book itself, they reference the house many times throughout the book. So the house itself kind of becomes a character in the book. There's a lot of references to the way the house is decorated, the opulence of the house, the style of the house. And in the book, they describe the house as this very grand and concrete, um, very stark structure. We went in a little bit of a different direction, but it's definitely a character that runs throughout the novel. It's really fun to have a film where the set is so important. Obviously, I think the set is important on every film, but because it's referenced throughout the script, the characters talk about the sets, they talk about the house. There's certain elements that we had to figure out how to incorporate. That's always a fun challenge for me. It's interesting because I think that the tone of the book was definitely supposed to be, more foreboding and ominous, but Paul, the director, had very specific instructions that he wanted the tone of the film in the initial parts of the film to feel very welcoming and bright and open. So figuring out how to do a horror movie that simultaneously has a welcome atmosphere was an interesting challenge to incorporate into the set dressing. Another way that we tried to kind of create an unsettling atmosphere in the house was certain elements feeling either overpowering within the decor or clashing slightly. So in the dining room, we did a lot of patterns and very bold choices of artwork in there. There was the graphic wallpaper mixed with the very intense, large scale piece of art that's hung on the wall, mixed with the other very bold, bright blue piece of art that's above the fireplace. And, on a technical level, these elements clash, but that was purposeful because it helps convey this unsettling nature to the film. Something that was really important to Paul was that he wanted the house to feel welcoming. He didn't want the film to initially start out as being already off the bat like a creepy horror film. He kind of wanted to do a more unusual take on it where the house feels welcoming. He wants Millie to want to work there. Nina is supposed to appear as this very friendly, like woman who Millie gets so excited about working the process. And I think that's very similar to what happens in the book. And Paul really wanted to convey that. And because of that, we tried to make the initial spaces that Millie enters the house have a more welcoming atmosphere. The foyer and the kitchen and the great room are all pretty bright. There's the kind of more unsettling elements that we bring in are reserved for rooms that she sort of enters later in the film.